Gwalia stores?
Gwalia stores was a typical Welsh Valley store, originally located in Ogmavale near Bridgend.
Shopping in Gwalia in the 19th century was certainly very different than how it is today. There were no supermarkets and shopping online was relatively new, although more people started doing this in recent times, particularly during lockdown.
Here is an example of historical money, including shillings.
Here is an example of how coffee beans were ground. And this is an example of how Gwalia style workers used to weigh coffee beans.
What does Gwalia mean?
Gwalia is an old poetic name for Wales. There are other shops in Wales called Gwalia in High Street, Llantrisant and Rhondda Cynon Taf.
A paddle streamer called Gwalia used a sail from Penarth here in the early 1900s. Here's a painting of the ship.
Who worked in Gwalia stores?
Shopkeepers were William and Mary Llewellyn. They took over the shop in Ogmore and in 1880 moved to Gwalia stores.
Gwalia stores became a very successful business, eventually expanding into ironmongery, bakery, grocery, gentlemen's outfitters, chemist and animal feed store.
This made it possible for people to shop for everything they needed in one place.
The specialist firm Parnells of Bristol installed new mahogany counters and shelving, and the store became known as the Harrods of the Valleys.
William became a local Liberal politician and property owner. They were the first in the area to own a car which William proudly called Genevieve. This is Genevieve.
Mr. and Mrs. Wren moved from above the shop to a large house in Glamorgan. They took up several staff who lived in the attic of Gwalia. Their salary was 8 shillings, 40 pence per week.
What did Gwalia stores sell?
The shop was next to a railway station and was well placed to sell a variety of foods, such as bacon from the local farms, cheese, eggs and butter, and imported goods, Maserati tea from China, sugar from Africa and the Caribbean, and coffee beans from Brazil.
When the customers entered the store, the member of staff in the store who would choose the items the customer wishes to buy from the shelves. They would also weigh out the amount of tea and grounded coffee beans to order.
Most of the time, these bags were also reused by the customers again. So this tells us that recycling is not a recent idea. Biscuits such as custard creams, Jemmy Dodgers and Garibaldi sold in the stores, and these too were placed in bags for the customer.
Of course, these biscuits are still very popular today. Broken biscuits was sold at a discount price. Can you see them in the top right-hand side of the photograph? How did they keep the food cold?
In the absence of fridge and freezers, cold foods such as eggs and cheese were kept on a marble counter.
Unwrapped items like these would need to be protected from insects, so flypaper was hung on the roof. This is Freddy.
Mr. and Mrs. Llewellyn were always polite to their customers and expected the same from the people working for them.
What happened to Gwalia stores?
He succeeded his father in the 1920s. Life was harder for the local people, and customers often couldn't pay their bills during the general strike of 1926 and the depression in the 1930s. Save the food!
1, 2, 3, 4! We are in the food war! 5, 6, 7, 8! Give us food to appreciate!
The stores finally closed its doors in 1973 when supermarkets became popular, and it was moved to the museum behind me in 1988.
Did you know?
Most homes in the 19th century had a little heating. Amongst the items sold by the Gwalia's ironmongery were cambric hot water bottles, as central heating, of course, was not existent in the time. In St Fagans, there was a sweet shop next to Gwalia stores. When we went there, I saw lots of different types of chocolate and sweets.
When we went into Gwalia stores, my favourite thing was Daddy's sauce, and I tasted it and really liked it. You can still buy it now.
The shop was 59 square feet, and when we went in there, I enjoyed the lady telling us all about Gwalia stores and how it was in the olden days.
This machine behind me is a flour machine, and I'm going to be telling you all about it. They use the grinder to grind wheat to flour.